Hey guys, it's Kusi. Because the next season is just around the corner, I'll let you in on a little secret. I can't wait!
You're joking.
So let's all rejoice in this grand moment of having change happening very soon. Thus I give you the journey nobody saw coming. Upping the ante beyond Keystone Hero to attempt rank 1 for the first time in my life. You believe I was able to do it?
No.
Can the lousy German dirt napper fulfill his destiny to finally upgrade his Tinder bio to Best Mage Season 1 The War Within? The rules of this series will be explained shortly, so go ahead and enjoy the, well, joyful moments, big damage, and the dirt naps. I will release some more videos before Season 2, and then our new Zero to Hero on the Brewmaster will launch.
Harry Maguire!
So until then, make sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on any of that. Without any further ado, peace! Hey guys, it's Kusi. After a fantastic beginning to the season with our Red Paladin series, we followed up with a painful to watch journey in form of our hairy little mistress while going through hell, back, and then back to hell again with the Restoration Druid. So I can hear you ask, what's next? You have done it all. Well, besides tanking. So we play another DPS because I freaking deserve to have some fun. Leave me alone.
Daddy, chill.
And just so I won't have to explain it to you myself, I'll show you this quick clip and then we all know what to expect. Enjoy this super random weird minute of editing which, well, have fun.
Psych!
On Friday, December the 13th, which is today, a new hero emerges.
Oh yeah, and make sure to like and subscribe because that would be great.
We conquered the light and suffered through the seemingly unending depths of a hell covered in flowers. But as we get closer to the coldest time of the year, the time of warmth is upon us. Be witness as we cleanse the cold-hearted and utterly insulting looking for Group 2 with the only thing that matters, setting shit on fire. Kissed by the sun itself, this journey will go beyond Keystone Hero and will not only conquer Mythic Plus, but also look good while doing it. As a Void Babe.
Now, before I start to show you how my preparation and gearing for this character looked like, considering I called it cheating in the intro, first I need you guys to drop the 07 in the comments for our boy, the Sub-Rogue. Believe it or not, when I did this poll to let you decide what to play, it was pretty much Fire Mage versus Sub-Rogue, the least played range spec versus the least played melee. But no need to stay in the past because I could already tell when leveling this character that Fire Mage is borderline fun. A quick side note here, I did play Fire once in my life during BFA, in which the core idea, Hot Streaks, Fire Blast and the connected buff to it was already a thing. But boy is this a different game and a different spec now. So let's talk about the playstyle and the incredible fun that our lamppost will bring us over the next few weeks a bit later, and let's focus on gearing. But first, rules. In Zero to Hero tradition, this will be a 100% grade A, money back guaranteed solo queue experience. Meaning, we won't have any boosties from friends or guildmates. Naturally, this character is not linked to my right IO as well, which means no one will be able to tell that I played a face roll melee and a walking log so far, which would probably be more of a reason to not take me in the first place. However, I will have the option to maybe join a guild just for the social aspect, as I'm a big advocate of the multiplayer part in MMOs. Again, not for boosting reasons. With that out of the way, let's talk about the goal, or partly. We are going beyond Keystone Hero with this full portal run. Every dungeon timed on plus 10 or above will be the minimum to achieve this, and depending on how this goes, I will increase that goal eventually. Okay, so the rules are set. So what did I mean when I said I cheated a little bit? Well, I leveled the character myself, meaning no cheating involved there, no boosting. But considering it's the Christmas season and I am an incredible busy bee in this time of the year, I thought I simply quicken my early gearing experience by using those bad boys. The Harbinger equipment chest crates are Battle.net bound, and you can grab those once a character of yours has a certain rating to their name, 350 Valor Stone each. So instead of farming LFR in 2 different raids, clapping some delves and bunny hopping my way to heroic dungeons or Mythic Zero, I went this quick route to ensure I can play keys pretty much instantly. But again, this was more or less a decision to do simply because I was on limited time and I wanted to get the character ready for our birthday stream last week. Which, by the way, thank you all for showing up, that was insane. With that, I hope you don't mind me grabbing myself some lousy vet items to start the journey, just to skip the chores. I also made sure I collected some bloody tokens while leveling, so I can grab myself some extra vet items from the PvP vendor that I am potentially missing. Insane how fast one can grab gear this expansion as an alt. I had some extra chests from time walking, which got me a normal raid item, which was an item from the Silken Cord. Nope, it was the necklace. Big verse, little mastery, it's okay for now. Furthermore, I had the kill the final boss quest from the Uldur time walking, which gave me a hero chest piece. Insane. So after opening all of the stuff I gathered from the dungeon chests, time walking and daily chests, and world boss quests, we actually ended up on an item level of 593. Actual full vet geared. Fantastic. I also got super lucky and snagged myself some gems from the dungeon crates as I got the Changeling, which is giga insane, as well as the Grim Battle ring. And just because of the beautiful alt catch-up mechanic of stacking catalyst charges, we ended up with 4 set just like that. But you know me, of course I might quickly jump into LFR to secure the Mag Daddy of trinkets, which I also got on my druid the very first try, easy peasy. And I would have won that without any question if it would have dropped. Unlucky. Yet the good thing about, I'ma say, enhancing your gearing experience is that we can go straight into keys. So after a quick item upgrade, we applied for some keys in order to grab our own, the old-fashioned way. And I don't know what you guys are complaining about, but I got invited rather instantly into a party that already started the key and had a lever. I don't think that works, chief. Okay, no way I'ma be this lucky again. Ooh, another invite, let's go. So while we are starting our journey in the Mist 2, let's talk about what the core gameplay of Fire Mage looks like without getting too much into details, since I don't know the details yet. The entire thing works around one specific buff with 2 stages, Heating Up and Hot Streak. Both of these will be generated by critting, but in order to get Hot Streak, you need to crit twice in a row. Why is this important? Hot Streak will make your 2 big spells, Pyroblast and Flame Strike, be instant. That is the entire core idea, and to complement that, you got plenty of funny tools. Fire Blast and Phoenix Flames, for example, are guaranteed critical strikes, so you can ensure to get Hot Streak whenever you have Heating Up already. And then there's Combust. For the longest time, the most insane cooldown in the game. During this effect, not only are you a walking match with the aesthetics of a flamethrower, you have 100% crit chance followed by a big mastery increase and just overall more flat damage due to some incredible enhancing talents. Oh, and don't be fooled by the 2-minute cooldown, as you got a handful of things to lower that cooldown simply by spamming the ever-living hell out of your stuff. The last time I played Fire, it was the most insane experience during Combust, but outside of it, you could pretty much just go AFK, but not anymore. With both either Sunfury as a hero talent or Sun King's Blessing, you got plenty of extra things to do outside of your usual Combust window. And without going into more details, as at this point in the recording I was testing talents out a lot. Let me say this, when it comes to range DPS, this is probably the closest thing to a melee you can get. Incredibly spamming, barely hard casting, I'm already in love, man. Though at this point I'm not certain on when I should just use Pyroblast or when I should use Flame Strike. Apparently those 2 choices depend on your talent build and I got no idea. Yet, more on that later. My first personal goal is to maximize the efficiency of my buttons using Combust. Because I'm playing with Unleashed Inferno and every button used lowers my Combust cooldown. Another little minigame I need to get used to is the buff uptime of Feel the Burn. Phoenix Flames and Fire Blast will grant you a buff for more damage, which is stackable, and during Combust, it's a no-brainer to have that thing active at all time. But outside of it, it can be a bit tricky. Nonetheless, it feels really good when you blow your load and you can see some numbers pop off. Yeah, I was not able to compete with those 2 bad boys whenever I had no Combust to my name, but when I had it, boy oh howdy was it doing some serious damage. What else did happen here? Well, nothing besides a few missed happens. Okay. But our Warlock wanted to gate skip, but our DK had the YOLO approach already in full effect. We double pulled, clean wipe. Other than that, this was a pretty smooth, another full wipe on Mistcaller due to lack of kick and a lack of CR. But even with that, we eventually timed it, being it actually barely, and we got our first item instantly, which was a neck, which was one of the few I had on champ already. That's sad. With that, it is time to play my own key, and here I had a decision to make. I could have invited this 592 druid alongside this 627 red paladin friend, but I decided against that. Not because of a potential boost, but because I don't invite Restros. Just kidding. I would have taken the druid, but I want to learn to play my spec even more, which means I can't use somebody who just tears a new asshole into every new enemy within seconds. However, besides me trying to press the right buttons during combust, this +2 Grimbatol was very uneventful, so I'ma just quickly show you the good stuff, which is the loot. Cause again, I got an item. For the second dungeon in a row, #blessed, Champion Headpiece, which I'm not sure if I will use for now, since the one I got a socket slot and I probably won't upgrade them much for now. So, semi-upgrade? Ah well. But now we are talking gaming. +4 mists. And +4 means we finally got fortified as the second affix rolling, which includes a big bump to HP for trash mobs, meaning I don't feel bad to use combust as soon as it's ready anymore. And just so I can show some dominance and to prove I am him, I got myself another fire mage in the party. Brother is similar to my item level, but clearly did a lot more keys, so let's go. He was also playing Sunfury, while I played the Frostfire hero talents, and so we got some straight comparison right now. I like that. Granted, it was pretty hilarious to see who got combust up during pulls, but quite often I still felt myself being hesitant about using combust. And then you had those pulls where both of us just got cooked by the prot paladin damage, but I'm sure I know what you want to see. I got spooned by Fido, bro. Holy hell. Our shaman even got the changeling and I just assumed he needs it, so I absolutely did not expect this conversation. Missed my chance for a potential champ upgrade on this insane trinket. Back in the day, I would have joinked that shit so fast without any hesitation. However, I was focused on something else. In true Degen fashion, I blamed my lack of overall damage on my talent build, and so I simply copied his build to see what's good. This also means to play Sunfury now. I told you I skip around in talents a lot today. With that new build and enough copium that the lack of damage wasn't actually my fault, we continued our journey towards the Stone Vault. Again, my key, again, +4. Look at that dude!
Wow.
Bro, Sunfury is busting! But while the burst felt insanely good with the combust rolling and even after it, since he got an extra buff to just spam instant pyros, the time outside of combust felt really weird. Though it makes sense considering how fast you get combust back. Apparently this build also has you spam pyroblast even on AoE to maximize the ignite ticking damage instead of using flame strike. Which means Stone Vault is a perfect dungeon for that, as you always got some big HP targets to rail into the ground. And it shows. Overall damage went up quite a bit even though it's still far away from 1 million. Ooh, another item. Lamppost is blessed, baby. However, to every one of you thinking, oh, why doesn't he get himself the big weapon crafty yet? I got one thing to say. I forgot. So now is the time where I was streaming and when the first few of you saw what class this series is about, so I was pretty much happy to talk to you about the mage and how fun it was. What was also fantastic is that one of my longtime viewers, Eluria, was in the chat here as well. That dude is some grade A mage gamer and I was happy to take any tips and tricks that came my way for Fire Mage. He talked to me about what talents are decent and why Frostfire seemingly is better right now than Sunfury, even though I had a lot of pew-pew with it. He also explained to me that besides making some flavor choices, you can actually also make the entire build around ignite damage, which is the one that I mentioned in the Stone Vault, where you simply smash Pyroblast on some big HP targets, or you can run an actual Flame Strike build that will blow your socks off during combust like there's no tomorrow. So, as we easily walk through this city of Dreadski with nearly no problems, besides me taking an unholy amount of avoidable damage, I was eager to get my hands on the cutting edge Eluria Mythic Plus build, which is the one I will link you in the comments. I was actually heavily debating the choices between Sun King's Blessing and just the way quicker reset on combust, but he assured me it will make more sense, even if it means to hardcast the Pyroblast every now and then. So I trusted. And while our gear was a bit higher at this point, 598 to be exact, I'ma just shut up and show you the numbers.
Damn!
Okay, so how does Sun King's Blessing work? Every 10 hot streaks you consume, which we learned is the instant Pyroblast or Flame Strike, whenever you hardcast one of each abilities, you get a smaller combustion ready to be sent flying. This is pretty solid considering we run with Flame Accelerant, which gives us a way quicker hardcast anyways. And how insane it is to have a quick combust ready even though your actual combust is on cooldown, well, how about you look for yourself? Pretty much 200k more overall compared to our last run. I'd say that's a fat improvement, as we are close to the 1 mil DPS mark already. And I was feeling it. I liked the build, I liked the class, I liked setting shit on fire. I was unstoppable. I was unstoppable. Hey guys, it's Kusi. Welcome back to the second episode of
Setting shit on fire.
in which I try to blur out the self-inflicted pain from the past by sending out destruction to every moving object in my way in this Zero to Hero Fire Mage edition. In the last episode, we learned that cheating is wild when it comes to getting gear quickly, blasted through our first key and then also lost the 1v1 against another Fire Mage by a mile simply because of talent choices. However, the confidence is at an all-time high, as not only did I get the Eluria skill tree, which makes me not all over the enemies, pause, which led to us finally finding our first roadblock, as already today we are going for +7 keys and beyond. Imagine that. We also have our very first vault to open, which is a very special one, because all the hopes and dreams are still alive and it's in Blizzard's hands if I will cry myself to sleep today or not. And after powering up even more, we will attempt our first +8 key of the season while getting joined by a full party of 4. Yeah, that never went bad for me in the past, huh? Oh man. All that by casually looting biz items all over the place, which is something I never thought I'd say this season at all. So if that sounds like an action-packed episode that will make you jump for joy not only during Combust, then make sure to like the episode as well as subscribe to the channel, because we are so close to the end of the year and you could claim I supported Kusi in 2024, even if it's just 2 weeks left.
Just do it!
Alright, so I gave you a gently blue balling when I showed you what went wrong in the end of the last episode, and don't you worry, I will show you, cause some of them things are hilariously funny. It all began when we finished our +5 mists with 2 chests, which left us with a Necrotic Wank +7. Now, for those of you that don't know, Necrotic was one of the dungeons that a lot of the player base had mad struggles in the beginning, as it's technically not difficult if you know how it works. It got heavily nerfed since, which made gamers all over the world say, "Oh, now it's easy peasy free dungeon." Well, I'm here to prove you wrong. Also, our tank here apparently was from the stream, and before you can say, "I do it, he's just don't stop getting boosted because he has a small wheeler," let me interrupt you by saying, I didn't know. I mentioned a couple of times that nobody from the stream may apply, and I've had some sussy high-level guys in my queue that I didn't take at all. But the way it is with streaming, people join at different times, and so he simply didn't know. However, before you skip to your other favorite Zero to Hero channels, cause that's a real one, let's watch what happened first, shall we? It started off nice. Normal size pulls, clean first boss, and even the annoying quadruple caster pack was nice. But then, the double Marauder pack was about to shit on our parade. Or is it rain?
I don't know, Jeff.
Well, one fear got through and we added extra trash. Guess who had the kick up to prevent that? Oops. Yet in true moronic fashion, instead of dying and going yen, we tried to prolong the pull for as long as possible, which led to us farming 7 deaths and still 2 Marauders to play. Nice? Then we gathered some more of them juicy Challengers Peril stacks, just to wipe on the second boss too, due to a lack of, well, I'ma say everything. But not before I did some slick blink play to escape certain death. Hashtag gaming. I did the right thing by letting them know it's a bricked one and we can all move our separate ways. Ain't no way I'm gonna hold anybody in a key after such a rocky path. Classic GG, go next. I like how they were polite enough to wait till the party leader did so. Appreciate it. After that, the druid confessed in my chat that he was a viewer and I politely asked him to not apply to the Mage's key again. Not because it's a solo queue series, but because he was ass.
Hell no, man.
No, just kidding. He didn't know that's a solo queue thing, so I just gave him a heads up and we were cool. No biggie. But now I had a shitty +6 Necrotic Wake that because of Blizzard's weird Mythic Plus design nobody ever wants to be a part of. I lowered it to 4 in hopes I get some peeps in that. Though the healer I invited thought I was insane for not taking a 625 tank in the queue. In my mind, surely this is a viewer. Who else would apply to a +4 key otherwise? And besides that one rocky full party wipe on the mentioned quadruple caster pack that we played perfectly on the +7 key, we had a pretty chill run. This Death Evoker did some serious damage, man, holy hell. I mean, his item level was only 588 and of course he had a hero spy master because why not? Yet the damage, man, insane. When I play on my Evoker, I hit like a floppy dick, dude. He is built diffy. Getting carried by a 588 Evoker was not on my 2024 bingo card to say the least. City of Threats was next, and in here I had 2 big revelations when it came to my own personal gameplay. First is, I'm pretty ass.
You're joking.
Second was that the final boss was giga scary as a DPS without the proper self-heal. If I forget to use Altar Time, I get my healer in real trouble real quick. And I can't use Altar Time too early, Cause at a fight like this, I will lose track and then probably port myself back onto an orb just to dirt nap anyways. Which is a good segue to the first reason, me being ass. It's dispelling weak in this Xalatot bargain affix, as Devour will heal every target and fight for 10% per shield that did not get dealt with. And even though I do have the decurse, like a good girl, well, let me say I believed in the healer. Twice. The worst part is that I already know how the healer is raging at me not dispelling, and rightfully so. I would do the same, man, sorry. The last thing to do before reset now is to do one more dungeon in order to secure the last vault slot. So I took the Grimbatol key I got and looked for a party. And boy, did it take forever to find a tank. We got one, did 2 pulls, he died and DC'd. Alright, +4 it is.
Okay, let's go.
And this one went a lot cleaner. No issues for the first third of the dungeon until we reach the second boss. Our tank, that did pretty much everything right, legit just face tanked the Molten Mace. Maybe he's just using bubble. Oh, surely this is just a one-time oopsie. And hell, we managed to kill the boss, so we are good. Oh lord. Apparently, face tanking was the name of the game here, and while some of you might think, oh that's okay, not many more raging ogres ahead, I got another difficult part for our tank to overcome. Gravity. Now granted, because I knew I just wanted to end the key for the sake of the vault, I wasn't too stressed about the entire situation. We also are still solid on time for now. Yet after the third boss, I got confused. See, not to flame our tank here by all means, I'll just explain to you why I got confused about it. Sometimes, he pulled 2 mobs, and then he kept them around to chain pull, which is weird considering some of us actually use cooldowns, but also a bit extra unfortunate if you take the fact in that we have an assassin rogue with us. And then he did this, pulling one of the more stressful packs of this dungeon, speaking from healer experience, just to take the Drake too? Damn! But surprisingly, we only had 1 more death during this, which is probably props to the healer. I don't know why, but for some reason I don't have the heal done details as well. Yet it worked out quite well. What didn't work out well are 2 specific things. First, we are sitting on 96.63% trash with 2 corruptors alive, each of them giving 1.46%, and quickly doing my 10 years of wasted time mathing in school, that is plenty. But the second problem was that our tank continued to chain pulling even though we had plenty of time to kill the boss, which got us cooked. And so we killed the corruptors again, I begged for him not to chain pull into the boss again, and oh wait, my math didn't work? We killed the boss in pretty much 2 minutes, which left us with 20 seconds to walk back half the dungeon for 1 mob we were missing. Considering we lost about 2 minutes on the first wipe, this would have been a timed one. Yeah well, if you mess up as a party on so many occasions, then timing this would have been too much to ask for anyways. When you deplete your key but you still loot the top tier trinket anyways, cause you're just a chill guy? And before you get mad and say, oh of course he gets lucky with the items he needs, you better shut that pie hole, cause first of all, I don't. Second of all, we ain't done yet. So let's talk about the vault. Though while I was happy bunny hopping towards the wall, I remembered something. The 4 dungeon hero raid item weekly, aka the Wormwood Inn Casino, has opened again, in which I usually get shafted, but every shitty ass character gets this biz non-stop. And even though I could just show you what I've gotten with a snap of my finger and a magical edit, I won't. No! First of all, we got the vault. Unfortunately, out of 7 options, we had 4 tier sets, which is slightly shit because we already have 4 sets. The only serious contenders were the ring and the offset shoulders. Shoulders is the only one that I don't have a set yet, which is okay, and considering they have haste mastery, they are ahead in terms of usefulness. The ring would have been a pretty solid upgrade in general. However, with crit on it, which is what I absolutely don't want, it wouldn't been the smartest play. So with that in mind, we take them shoulders. And while I tried to instantly go back into keys cause that's what we're here for, let's talk about this week's affixes first. Tyrannical is back on the menu, and this one I don't like as a DPS, simply because having cooldowns up on every pack is so much more enjoyable in general, and if you lack 1 DPS, boss fights can take forever. The bargain edition this week is Oblivion, which means you gotta have 10 orbs spawning that try to sneak up onto enemies to give them 10% damage per effect. To interrupt that, we have to park the boss. And by that, I mean your sweet cheeks in front of them. So we gather them for our own enjoyment. But do they also give us 10% damage done per orb? Of course not! 2% mastery instead, and I think some leech? Thanks Ian. But while this miss key didn't provide any content besides me finally being on top of the meters to purge the boosted allegations, the best thing came afterwards. Cause I got a 7 Grimbatol key. 7 is so sexy, man. Hero items dropping now, and in the case of Grimbatol, there's a solid chance you get some insane gamers that are just farming trinkets. I'd also be down to grab myself either the ring or the trinket I got on hero, so let's see what happens. 602 was my current item level, and so I decided to get some pumpers in that will guarantee me some success. I wasn't worried about the 2 German guys at all, but the one from Addon worried me a bit. Let's just say, I met some crazy folks from that realm before. Yet even though I did some solid damage, I felt like our healer wasn't busy enough, so I tested what happens when you run into the purple mysterious fog outside of the first boss area. Yep, it hurts. You're welcome. But of course I had to die here. Granted, I had all my cooldowns up, but no way in hell would I have guessed that the boss shreds like 70% of my HP with the roar, even with a 10% damage buff. Guess at least popping a shield here seems like it's the play. However, Tanks getting 1-tapped by the second boss seems to be a new strat, cause now our fell-infested Winnie the Pooh here got smacked back to Narnia. And here I am, being a big friend of Decurse, as now the treasure's up where I'm actually useful. Decursing here helps the healer so much, so for every Druid, Shaman or Mage gamer out there, healer or not, use it. Very enjoyable run overall, and I wish I could have shown you some wonky stuff, but these gamers had no time for that. And so we 2-chested it, and since nobody wanted to ring our hunter god, I yoinked that thing straight up, which is the same ring I could have taken from the vault. Hashtag blessed. After that, I decided to go for some raiding for mainly one purpose. Oh well too. I would love to get my hands on the transmitter, cause I don't know, YOLO? But for sure I wanted the Spy Masters. Though I know raiding is boring, especially normal, so let's just quickly talk about the few items I gotten from here. I got myself a new belt, which is nice, as it has Haste, Mastery and Leech, as well as a Curio from the Queen of Twerks as well. Obviously, I got both of them items on the final boss while I was dirt napping. And how did I dirt nap? Well, you won't believe it, but no idea how I slid off there, but here we are. I spent the token to get myself the handpiece, as it's the most logical stat-wise. However, I wasn't done here. As you remember, we did 2 chests to Grimbartol, meaning I got a +9 key in my bag, or 8 if I decide to lower it, which was the reason I wanted to prep. So not only did I get myself a cloak crafted to double the amount of stats from my weapon embellishment, I actually crafted that shit myself. How about that, huh?
Oh, really?
Then I upgraded every red item I had equipped, which eventually got me to an item level of 610, just like that. Boy did I feel ready. How ready are you, Chrissy? I'm glad you asked, cause I took the Stormvault key I had, lowered it to 8, and I was swimming in people applying for it. Which I can't show you cause it went too quick. I wasn't even able to record that part. I queued up, that started OBS, but at that point I already had the 4 stack applying. I got a full party of premates which had these item levels. Am I thinking they are pretty overgeared? Yeah, sure. Do I think I need them? Nah, not really. Do I take it anyways, cause that's what you get for putting up a +8 Stormvault? Absolutely. I also don't feel too bad, cause I'm not even the lowest geared guy in this party. And this run was... you know what? To be continued. Now, well, just so you're not mad, I will show you what I've gotten from the Dungeon Weekly. Or will I? Oh, no way, no way, no way! Hey guys, it's Kussi. Welcome back to episode 3, and yes, I'm sorry, kinda, for the big tease at the end of episode 2. But that's all in the past, or Schnee von gestern as we say in German, so let me show you what we are cooking today. As you know, the end of our last episode was the beginning of our first +8 key of the season, so we are going to talk about that. Furthermore, we got a lot of keys coming our way, which may prove to be more difficult than one would assume, while doing some juicy progress polls on a boss I happen to become very familiar with during my Druid series. And the biggest of them all, a vault to remember. One vault to rule them all, which had me whip out the 12-year-old IRL scream like Dratnos when they mess up the maze during an MDI run.
It looks like doing the same thing!
Yeah, something like that. So you better be ready, as we will witness everything from horrendous pre-med bugs to clean executed runs, right into the hell of a key that got abandoned by the guy who messed up the most. And if that sounds like an episode you want to complain to Ian cause your vault was not as good as mine, then make sure to hit the like and also subscribe to the channel, cause we are only about 93k subs away of maybe coming close to interview Ian and ask him why he hates blood trolls so much.
Blood trolls are bad dudes.
Okay.
They're pretty black.
Alright, so technically I did receive the weekly casino item after this +8 Stormvault, but because I tricked you into believing I got an insane banger of an item, I feel like I have to clear the air on that. So I did get a trinket, one that people want. Unfortunately, not the one that I want. I got this shitty ass egg that is supposed to be a solid one, but there's no way in hell that this is a good one. Like, on paper, sure, but in what world do I want another minigame to play during dungeons? I did try it out, but it didn't feel that special. However, like I said, this is the future, which means we need to hop back to the present, which is our +8 key. Plus 8 is good, cause in here the important gilded crystals will be added as loot, and with the recent news that we only need 60 of them to craft an item, which is at the time of recording next week, I was keen to farm them. Quick reminder, we do rock Tyrannical as well as Oblivion as the bargain edition, which means we gotta catch them all. If we don't, each bolt will loop up the enemies for 10% more pounding. Pause.
Naughty, naughty.
Also, as I showed you, this is the team I'm rocking with. 4 pre-made gamers that apply to my key, and yes, I am not the lowest DPS in the party, which means I am an equal part of the group. And I'm the Bloodlust. And not only am I the Bloodlust, I'm also a big part of the damage it seems, cause this rogue plays like me when I got roasted by my viewers during a stream once. If you know, you know. Oh, never mind, there he is. Needless to say, after surviving the first pull and the first boss with no scratch, we were gaming. And we were gaming until the second boss, until one of us died since we killed the little boss too early. I wonder who did that. Surely it wasn't me. Hashtag blame the heal. Other than that, this one was such a blast. We did have some weird problems on the triple charge pack when we had our tank dying, but we still ended up on a 2-chester and still not a mill overall. Surely bad proc luck. Yes, this was fun. Yes, I did die once, but not necessarily because of a stupid misplay, so I'll take that any day of the week. However, I do know what you want. So here's an Arakara, plus 5. Cause I was just aiming to get some base score since I didn't have any. And well, a potential brute sack as well. We ended up on the last boss with over 11 minutes left. 5 deaths, which is okay, and Bloodlust ready. So you already know what's about to happen.
Round 1. Fight! Round 2. Fight!
Bruh.
Round 3. Fight!
What the fuck is this? Huh.
Round 4. Fight! KO!
Funny how he dipped the key even though he died a lot during those pulls. No egg, no score. Now, would you rather spend 25 minutes like this or in queue? Let me know in the comments. So instead of an overload of trust into a pack party created by somebody else, I was keen on doing my own key again, simply to keep the crest stacking alive and to have a little bit of control over the party. And because it worked out well, I got myself another gang of Germans. Even Captain Tsubasa was on board, but instead of carrying our middle school team to the finals of the national championship, yes, actual plot there, he was insulting my mother. Well, technically it was my score, but you know what I mean, it's the same thing. Nonetheless, this gang was supposed to be my safe haven. Get it? Cause it's Morales.
No?
But instead our tank decided to drop down for no reason whatsoever, and with that we collected our first 2 deaths. Love to see it. So besides those few mishaps, Tsubasa scolding both me and our 633 hunter here in damage, and the usual spotter pulling boss into wipe strat, this wasn't too bad. I mean, sure, did the bleed take out 60% of my HP while our healer did 400k HPS? Sure. Did I as a druid need to whip out 1.2 mil on this boss for some reason? Why not? And did somebody die to the cannons, got rest, and died to the next cannons? Maybe. Yet none of that prepared us for what's to come on the final boss. The Vigor.
That's gotta be racist. There's no way.
You see, easily the most deadly thing about this boss are the 2 debuffs he dish out. And you need to dispel them ASAP in order to be able to dispel the second one before the next wave of debuffs comes out. So to have a second dispel would be insanely handy. However, unfortunately, no one other than a healer can do that. There's no spooky edgelord class that could summon that little shithead from Harry Potter in order to potentially dispel. Unlucky. So now I need your help, cause what followed next was beyond my understanding. So our hunter did the first cannon. So far so good. But then we finished the second stage, and I had this point of view. The hunter said something weird and just kept running off, and I can see 3 people in the back. Tank and healer shouldn't do the cannon, yet there's another DPS as well. And all of them just followed up without using the cannon. So we wiped in a way that arguably has to be the single-handedly dumbest way to die here ever. We tried to address the situation, and then our hunter seemingly suggested we take turns, which pretty much just makes things even more confusing. One guy does it, preferably the fastest boy of us. So we went again, and I died because of the debuff. Granted, I did use mirror image, but thinking back, maybe that doesn't reduce the damage of dots. Overall, we lacked dispels, so I asked the ward to potentially grab his imp in order to provide a second dispel for the party. Though he just called me a bitch boy, with his eyes, while summoning the Fell Hunter. Unfortunate. Look man, I don't want to tell anybody how to play, but if you have the option to make things easier on the one mechanic that is troublesome for the party, consider doing it. With a slick 10-minute overtime we eventually got it done, so I can snatch myself some well-deserved 55 gold. Thanks Ian. So cheer up, cause today we are witnessing a first, a debut, a premiere of the almighty Subrog. Now, I'm certain this dude couldn't compete with the Wiener Slayer that almost ended up being the protagonist of this series, but here we are and we welcome this chap into our loving arms. Man, I love when people play things that are beyond off meta. But at least more damage than the heal? Big poggies. This run was a difference of night and day compared to the last one for sure, so you can imagine this was an easy peasy lemon squeezy kind of joy, and I finally got hands. Hero hands. We take that any day of the week. Now with another +8 in the bag, we can right the wrongs in Necrotic Wake, as the last higher key we did ended up in a freaking tragedy. Also crazy how we timed that run with this overall healing. And damn, is that me on top with over 1 million? Get cussed on, kid. Something I should never say again in my life. I made sure to invite a proper healer this time and my party was fired up. We agreed to a nice run without toxic shit, and I'm all for it, baby. So because we didn't do one of those in a while, let's do a quick dungeon breakdown of annoying potential wipe spots during this dungeon. Blightborn is arguably the easiest boss, though that obese bastard has one annoying hit. Heaving Wretch does hit pretty hard, and it's a cone targeting a random player. It's very important to make sure only the marked person gets hit, as 3 little maggots I said maggots, calm down, spawn, which all are doing nasty things. When those little sausages are running wild, make sure to not get hit by them, they hurt a lot. Kiting is the name of the game here. Other than that, he does a tank buster, but that's none of our business. When it comes to trash mobs, I feel like the only important one to mention are the Marauders. They do a big cleave hit that looks like this. So as a tank, you want to make sure to face it away from the party. As a melee, stay behind. Other than that, the big boy casts a fear which preferably needs to be interrupted, as you could potentially have unwanted attention from nearby mobs. On the second boss, I will tell you a secret. This thing hurts.
You're joking.
Easily the most important thing, besides dodging the nasty breath of course, is the management of the adds. Keyword mages. Kick them. Don't just stun them randomly, cause they won't walk into the middle if you do. Kick them and let them stack up so you won't lose too much uptime on the boss and the rest of the adds. Cause all adds need to die before final harvest. Otherwise, Gravedigger Amath will put your ass 6 feet under quicker than you can say GG, go next. I'm pretty sure we all know Stitchflesh and the boss fight, as we all participated in keys where progressing him was a real joy. Getting him hooked down off his area is the key to success here, and the only extra tip I give you is, if a second monstrosity spawns, make sure you nuke the first one. Having 2 of them up is incredibly unpleasant and will most likely lead to a wipe. And then there's Nalto the Rim Job, but yeah, no comment. Now, even though I was thinking about how to blue ball you again in the end of the video, let me say it right now loud and clear, on my mama I won't do that today. Instead, I will show you how this week ended for me, and I will show you the vault in the end to make up for the nasty bait at the end of the last episode. So, to catch you guys up to speed, I need 2 more dungeons in order to have a 3rd vault slot, and I'm also in need of 2 specific dungeons for score, since I didn't do them yet. Arakara, which you remember went not good, and Dawnbreaker. So you can imagine I was a happy boy when I found out I did receive the spider key myself. I did get it on a +10 level, since we 2-chested the Necrotic Wank, but I didn't feel ready yet. Also, I don't want you guys to call me boosted, so 8 it is, which shouldn't be too hard, as people still are egg hunting in this place. Now, did I get a solid party? I'd say so. Even though we did have some struggles on the first boss whenever our top DPS died, as killing the little 8-legged freaks was a lot more of a hassle. But we managed, so we marched on to the final boss without any further casualties. Yet, if I had a dime for every time I was ending up on the final boss with more than 10 minutes, just to still brick the entire thing, I would actually have a few dimes at this point, which is incredibly concerning to say the least. But this time, I was on a roll, man. Dying was not on the menu, at least not for me, and we kept all the CRs as we desperately needed them for our healer. Just look at this play, man. I'm almost cooked, but then this little sack nibbler crossed me and I knew he will drop the gist stain of survival. I was feeling myself here a lot, and when we actually finished the key, I was in awe about the lack of damage on the rogue, the 286 rating I gained, as well as the big fat sack of nothing I receive as a reward. But yet, one more to go. Doing a Dawnbreaker on a 4 or 5 would pretty much guarantee me Keystone Master, which means I would have another hero set piece for the upcoming reset to further increase my gear. So that's what I did. Granted, +4 ain't that special for us anymore, and because I know what you wanna see, let's open the promised vault so you can be witness of the beginning of something special. Ladies and gentlemen, Hereby I, Sir Slayer of Cusselton, declare, Lamppost is blessed. Just kidding. There you go. Hey guys, it's Kussi. Let me welcome you to episode 4 of role-playing as a self-operating lava lamp in this Zero to Hero Fire Mage edition. In the last episode, we started the grind for Gilded Crest, which we will need in a wide abundance in order to upgrade our crafted items and potential big banger equipment we already have. We also finished the last week before the most recent update, which means them set crests now will drop at an increased amount, while this is now officially 11.0.7, and with that, we got new content.
Siren Isle, the brand new zone of 1107.
However, by saying new content, I mean some boring ass recycled area in which you can't fly due to some weird hurricane warning, alongside a boring ass recycled idea of a ring with an overall of 12 gems to use in it, which all do not matter because everybody and their fat Uncle Ron just uses the same 3 anyways. But moving away from toxic, obnoxious and unpleasant content, let's talk about Mythic Plus here.
Wait a minute!
Because today is the day. We once again make an important jump while attempting our first plus 10 keys of the series. Yes, keys. Multiple. And one more thing to mention, if you happen to get angry if you watch some random ass German pull out one biz item after the other without any remorse for those who are farming it for weeks or even months, then this is your trigger warning. Cause spoilers, this mage is beyond lucky when it comes to the gear that actually matters, and I know this seems like a weird ongoing inside joke, but you will not believe what we pulled this week already. So if that sounds like an episode you would like to unsubscribe due to the building rage towards my loot luck, then I totally understand. Have a nice day. However, if you're interested in seeing where all of this leads, as we attempt to stack our first myth vault of our little lamppost, then make sure to subscribe instead, and while you're at it, hit the like button so YouTube sends this video out to more people, which means we get more people angry and upset. And ain't that something? Alright, after happily collecting myself some spider egg for only the second time in this season, if we are talking about all mech characters combined, I was ready to lose my mind in a new area called the Siren Isles. Why? Well, because I want gear and player power, of course, dummy. And there's apparently some new ring in town that will come in handy for us, as it means we got one less item to craft in the future. However, at this point in time I was unaware of how it works, so let me try to explain to you what's happening. Apparently there are 12 new and unique gems that you can put into this ring, which will only give you stamina as a baseline stat to increase its power. Some do extra healing, some do some extra damage, and others pretty much just give you free stats all over the place. Blizzard thought it's a phenomenal idea to time gate those gems so you only get 4 per week, which means the new ring that was supposed to be better than anything else this season 2 was actually quite shit. So we did the bare minimum and moved on, as I wanted to test my newfound luck for trinkets on the one that matters. Lucky. So we had at least one more upgrade locked and loaded for achieving Keystone Master. I went with the hero set legs from our Spelunker's token, as this means I could go for one of those big boy enchants on it, which I absolutely messed up. You see, this is where my just bought hero pants are. These are not hero pants. So I used the 4K enchant on the legs I wanted to replace. So with the disappointing new ring and now 2 sets of legs with 4K enchants on it, let's move towards our first key of the day. Similar to last week, we start off with the Stone Vault, however, with different affixes this time around. No more ball collecting crap that bugs out and or tries to bite you in the ass during certain boss fights. Ascension is very straightforward. 10 balls spawn, they need to be interrupted, CC'd or moved around in order to receive a juicy haste buff of up to 20%. And the best part? Even if you mess them up, the punishment of 10% haste on an enemy target isn't that much of a hassle. Oh, and we got Fortified back, which is arguably the best change for us, as farming DPS on trash mobs is the name of the game in any pucky ever. This run started pretty good, cause I didn't die on the first pull. But because we also had noticed on the first boss, we made sure to make it count just right after. Man, I love this kind of boss. You take a small pack, wait for people to blow their load, and then you add more to it. And by more, I mean a lot more. Double pack body pulled. Nice! 100 gold as well? Blizzard really spoiling us during Christmas, it seems. One thing to mention here is that, in fact, now is the week that will grant us scaling amount of crests. Meaning +8 will still give you 12 on timing it, but +9 will give you 14. 10 will bring 16, and so on. It's by all means not a big change, but with lowering the cost for crafted 636 items to only 60 crests instead of 90, that is actually a huge one for us in the future. However, what's even better than to farm crests and get some well-deserved items is just getting gear for getting carried like the little chubby baby boy that I am. Here are the key informations you need for this to work. Mist +8, pre-made healer tank DPS, enhancement shaman item level 635, which I thought I can beat in overall easy peasy. Spoilers, I wasn't ready. Just look at the burn phase on the first boss. That does not look like an equal contribution, or at least that's my humble opinion. I mean, sure, was he sweating the big damage every time I didn't have combust up to make me look like a fool? I think so. But did I catch up to him eventually in the overall damage? Absolutely not. Rumors has it that the Enhancer Ascendance form has a 3-minute cooldown to transform into goop. So maybe, just maybe, this new funny looking boy will help me out to achieve greatness just like our booty clapping friend here. Yes! Yes, daddy! Man, I love this character so much. Turns out when you get all the loot you want or need, this game is incredible.
Oh really?
And if there's one thing I learned from getting chained up while being dragged through the dirt of the maze by our Storm Leader, it's to push myself. Force myself into situations that require me to improve and make sure I'll come out a better player than when I entered. So first of all, I made sure to not invite a beast like that again, while instead taking people around my gear. So you cheeky buggers cannot complain too loud. Secondly, we upped the ante, whatever that means, as we went higher in key level to attempt our first +10. For those of you that don't know, +10 during the War Within now has both Tyrannical and Fortified being active, which means in this week specifically, all of a sudden bosses are a lot more painful and a lot more lethal as well. This also means you do need a lot more single target compared to just fortified keys, but luckily I'm a single target god whenever I survive. But not only am I on a mission to get keys timed, collect portals and even more biz items, I'm also on a side quest to learn how to use my defensive cooldowns in order to ensure safety for myself and to take pressure off the healer during funky situations. With that being said, did you know that mirror images stay up to 40 seconds to reduce incoming damage? What? 40 seconds of 20% damage reduction unless you get giga shafted, and even then you at least get 20% less shafting. Doing my cussy math, that's a lot. Now, could I have prevented a lot of damage on this pack if I just use images all the time? Sure. Was I busy using Flame Strike? Cause by my own math, Flame Strike does a lot more damage than spending a global on a defensive? You best believe it. Still, watching my own replay really shows me a lot of failures, which I need to work on in order to play a better key the next time I enter. When it comes to managing this week's orbs as a mage, we do have two pretty solid options to get rid of them. Last Wave is incredibly helpful as it pushes away enemies in all directions going out from your current position, meaning if you stand in the middle of the orbs, you hit most of them for sure. Supernova is a bit different. It's a targeted spell that knocks up enemy in a close range around the target, so it's not that efficient for the affix, but still better than nothing. You may can consider taking Dragon's Breath instead, but the knockup is just very useful during packs and overall. So I'll keep it for that and rely on Blast Wave to do the trick whenever I need it. So, quick tip, get yourself something like a shaman or a monk in your party during this week, they just take care of it themselves, no biggie. What really surprised me during this run was the way we managed to mess up situations that didn't need to be messy at all. All of our deaths were so incredibly avoidable, and yet we always managed to recover just by playing it smart. Speaking of playing it smart, did you know you can line of sight the big stump by the Demolisher to take exactly 0 damage? I did. Our 3k fire mage god in the chat did not. Lamppost ready for +12 confirmed?
No.
Our first +10 key of this series was a perfect example on how good and simple a +10 can go whenever you don't do weird things. Don't overpull, don't make funky strats, and just play mechanics. Nobody needs some rank 1 MDI route with quadruple pack pulls and pucks. Trust me man. 69 score.
Nice.
And a necrotic wake in the bag, which you better believe is up for grasp. So I was still very unhappy with what I was providing to the pod. My damage is ass, and that's just because of an incredible misuse of my abilities. Bad decision making leads to bad combust usage, which leads to a lot of overlaps or even overwriting. So to show you what I mean, here's what Eluria taught me about how to use combust. We got two different ways of proccing it. One is obviously combust itself, and then we got the Sun King's Blessing proc, which will give us a short bust after hardcasting Pyro or Flame Strike. Now here's where the mechanic of overwriting comes into play. When we proc combust with Sun King's Blessing, and then use our actual combustion spell afterwards, the buff uptime will not add up and the proc will be replaced with our normal 12-second combustion. However, if we use combust first and then proc Sun Kings, the duration will be extended by 6 seconds. This means using Sun Kings during combust is actually recommended, as those extra 6 seconds will have you blow so many extra hot streaks out, it's crazy. And that means more procs again, ultimately ending in an erupting crescendo of busting.
What do you mean by that?
With all that new information, our goal now expands to have the best, the richest, the highest and the smartest combustion uptime that will make your girl say huge. And to not only prove my point to my viewers during our livestream sessions, but also to you, which is, don't let your dreams be memes. I invited myself another fire mage to this +10 necrotic wake, simply because I will put him in the dust. This man plays the ignite build, which is probably not bad for this dungeon, but I use the quickly snipe some extra damage on the ass that will die anyways when the big guy dies build, aka Flame Strike build. And let me just say, I was doing some insane numbers whenever I survived. Hey guys, it's Kusi. Welcome back to the 5th episode of cosplaying as a self-igniting mage in this Zero to Hero Fire Mage edition. In the last episode, we finally stepped foot into the key range that truly matters, as we not only attempted our first +10 key, we also timed that while being an absolute equal part of the party, sort of. We also gathered the other biz kind of trinket from dungeons while getting packed on the damage shards by a guy who tamed more elements than the last airbender. And then we ultimately engaged in the blood sport of WoW, that is, comparing wieners to other people that play the same spec. But because I just gave you the tip,
Naughty.
or a little bit of a tease there, we will dive into what really happened in that necrotic wake to answer the lifelong question, will I be able to snuff his flame like I kinda did with Ace? Or will he bust all over me without even asking for consent?
What do you mean by that?
Though, furthermore, we will attempt a lot more keys this time, where the occasional professional dirt napper and keybreaker El Cuso Grande will do his thing. Though one thing I can say for certain, we are prepping the fattest vault of this series and you better bend over backwards in disgust, cause the luck of this character is absolutely going nowhere. Oh, no way, they're gonna be so mad! So if that sounds like an episode you wanna open your eyes wide, because you will miss it if you blink, then make sure to hit the like button while also subscribe, because even though it's a new year, our goals remain the same. #road to 10k. And also hit me with all the New Year's resolutions you had for 2025, but already gave up on. I really wanted to stop dirt napping for no reason keys, but that ended quicker than my mom's hope for my success as an adult. So we ended on the Necrotic Wake 10, which is only our second +10 ever on the Mage, and just because I'm here to assert dominance over the pathetic attempt to steal my thunder, I got myself a second Fire Mage. I did show you how he passed me and schooled me on the first boss, but that's just half of the truth. So we started off putting in some work, with a slight difference in damage. Mind you, he does play the Ignite build, which is actually quite nice for Necrotic Wake, while I play a cheeky build to potentially snipe more damage. But first, as we started the first boss, the Fire Mage Hive Mind kicked in and we both decided to take the frontal. Granted, I moved into him, however, standing ahead of where you wanna go is just not the play. Nonetheless, that fight took forever, but luckily the gang was able to get it done. And I swore myself, no more dying, no more messy stuff, just pure pumpage. Well, +10 Necrotic Wake in the bank, beat the mage, though I really wanted more than that. I wasn't satisfied, way too many super annoying and avoidable deaths, and most of them just happened because I got too horny to bust. Okay, I gotta stop saying that. However, I know why you're here. You don't want to see me time keys, beat other mages with equal item level in head-to-head competition, you want to see me fail, don't you?
Yes.
Well, then how about a quick Dawnbreaker, or Dawnbreaker that is, as I wanted to continue my own keys. One quick thing to mention, These are the gems I'm currently using in my ring when playing fire. We got the Mastery Gem, the 150% effectiveness proc thingy, and actually the Lightning Zapper. Now I can hear you ask,
What? What is this? For what? Why?
the truth is, the lightning damage can proc from Ignite as well. And since we do be spreading that to every target, the proc rate is quite solid, and in some dungeons that little lightning did about 10% of my damage. Hashtag worth. Unfortunately, this key took the wrong direction very early on, because we wiped on the first boss due to our tank slightly underestimating the tank buster, that is, the beam. Though I believe in balance when it comes to everything, so even though I was a bit bummed out that arguably the easiest key of the season could go south, I still found joy in learning that there's a flippin' repair on the ship. What the hell, I didn't know that. However, eventually we figured out that underestimating tank busters was the name of the game on this run. It always feels weird when you get a 3-man pre-made party just being goofy like that, but it is what it is. So we quickly had to smash through the Dawnbreaker 8 for another shot at the portal. And while we have that one running in the back, I'd like to quickly advertise something to you. I uploaded a video about my year of 2024 and what's potentially to come this year. And even though some of you don't care about me being a bit self-reflecting and grateful for the support, you should absolutely check it out, as it got some of the highlights of the birthday stream in which we completely dominated the game called Party Animals. Here's a quick teaser. This looks so good. I don't even want to change the view, this is hilarious.
Welcome punch!
Oh, dude, I whipped his ass, bro. Yes, he's done, he's done, he's done. He's cooked.
Schirle. Der kommt an! Mach ihn! Mach ihn! Er macht ihn!
My name is Jeff.
So yeah, check it out after the video. Needless to say, easy peasy 2 chest, and we don't talk about the frost witch being on top. So this now brings us to the key that I was very happy to receive, because this one never failed before, unless I was the cause of it. Grimbatol is up for grasps, and this one is a jackpot to a certain degree. Yes, it's not the easiest dungeon and the trash hurts like hell, but there's a good chance that you get pretty solid pre-made parties in here, as some are still in need of the trinkets while also aiming to stack the vaults with the +10. And even though my party was doing great, I had a very quick and painful realization. Oh, I'm playing a different build, I'm playing raid build. I was in fact in a more single target focused raid build that technically does work for dungeons too, it just alters the gameplay a little bit. Now it's about only spamming Pyroblast at all time. The biggest issue is me missing my utility to help dealing with the current affix. Ascension does drop 10 balls that need to be CC'd in any kind of form, which means lacking both Supernova and Blast Wave is no bueno. Though it's fine until anybody figures out. Oh no, he knows. Now, the smart thing to do would have been to play the Drakes, walk out, and quickly respec. But you're not subscribed to this channel because you want to see smart plays, now are you?
No.
So, in an honest review, just leaving the dungeon wasn't even on my mind. Instead, I believed. And believing in it went quite well, until I got asked to port out and come back.
Never failed before, unless I was the cause of it.
With all this shittery, we still ended up with 7 minutes on the final boss, which is where I realized another flaw of mine regarding the group design. You see, I legit only chose a druid for the sole purpose of CR, so we have at least one, unless the druid dies. Now, I did prep and bought some of the CR cables everyone can use, so because I changed spec, I didn't have them in my interface anymore, and so I got lost in the annoyingly crowded space of this boss room. Unlucky. So, Dawnbreaker again, +8. Even 3 chests this time, which came in very handy. Siege of Morales, +11. Because I did this on 10 already, I wanted to step up for the highest key of the series so far. This time, right talents, no wonky stuff. Prepare and
try to relax your anus,
because this will potentially be a bumpy one. Now, 2 things you need to know before we get into this. The Enhancer is geared big, 628 or something along those lines, and yes, I totally invited 2 priests in order to have a PI for myself. Even though, a side note, I think my PI disappeared after I agreed to give it to the tank, as he was asking for it due to damage-hungry selfish purposes. But that's okay. The first boss can make my pull either incredibly annoying or very pleasant. All depends on the very first chase. If he chases me, I'm cooked. If he chases somebody else, I'm in a good mood. The reason for that is that it takes some time to spawn the bombs. So after the first pull in, I just stand behind a bomb instantly to ensure I don't have to walk anywhere. Works quite well, I'd say. Usually the first one is also a make or break for parties, so I'm happy we got through this as clean as we did. Now eventually we did have our first death, and would you believe when I tell you it wasn't me?
No.
Appreciate the trust, man. Furthermore, we did have some minor hiccups when it comes to the death counter, but luckily, always when it didn't matter as much, and when the respawn was close. So brace yourself, cause Hadal had to experience the absolute joy of taking all my busting. I have to stop saying that, as I had the very perfect setup for this. Sun King's Blessing combust, into Actual Combust, into Lust, into Potion. I am ready! Only the last boss remains, and you already know the drill when you have nothing but gamers. So the moment of truth remains. Will I be top DPS? What do you think? What a fitting ending to this week. Beating an enhancer, which does mad damage these days, on a key level we haven't done during the series into a stacked vault with 2 Myth-Trax items waiting for us. Now for context, last week we did pull the hero sack out of the vault since we didn't have any myth slots. So without any further ado,
Bruh.
I don't know what to say, man. This was, on so many levels, a very weird decision to make. Hear me out. I simmed this a lot for multiple reasons, and I had sims where both of these trinkets came up on top. It took me legit hours of thinking to ensure I won't make a mistake here. Fatter of fact, wait, what? I opened this on Wednesday and I only picked the item on Friday for the next stream. Though eventually, as we say in German,
Eier, wir brauchen Eier!
So I picked the egg solely because I felt it would haunt my soul even more if I won't do it. With that new and improved ballsack hanging around my neck as a token of nothing but luck, we stepped up to a more difficult dungeon when it comes to pugging. Stone Vault it is, and so far my runs didn't go as well here. Now, what was funny was that our healer just kept instantly dispelling the debuff on the tank while not using it as a damage mitigation. I had people calling me a condom for even less, but apparently a blood decay just runs with it. Granted, it's probably better for the tank to know right away you won't have the debuff dealt with proper, so you can rotate your own cooldowns to live it with the full trust issues active. Though you best believe I was in all kind of doubts about our healer not dealing with that mechanic, considering the role of a healer is insanely big in this dungeon, but hope remains as we take on the Edgelord Stoneboy without any issues. However, yeah, let's talk about it. Since I'm the only range kick with a cooldown short enough to deal with the little one after his jump, I kept my counterspell for only that scenario. We do have 2 melee that can both pretty much kick every other cast by themselves. So no worries, until there was worry. Druid got cooked, I stood too close apparently? Okay. On the second attempt, the priest and I were competing about the play of the game, but for misplays. He getting rolled over by the big fireball surely is a worthy contender. However, me not dispelling myself from the affix, which caused the boss to heal for 10% HP, is arguably equally as stupid. Speaking of, let me tell you about this new affix for the War Within, and this week in particular. Devour is a version of Salathat's Bargain that will put some kind of shield onto every party member. That can only be dealt with by using any kind of dispel, so the curse, which we have as a mage, works just as well as a poison cleanser or a normal dispel. The other way is that you can heal it through, as it gets removed after a certain amount of healing has passed. However, this doesn't work for overhealing, so dispelling is still the better option. By all means, not a healer affix. Help yourself whenever you can, so that's why I said not dispelling was absolutely my bad, and I will not blame a healer for that. So that was key obviously, so we have to redeem ourselves a new one. Nice. With us 2-chesting that thing, we end up with another plus 11, and just because the game is juicy like that sometimes, we end up with another easy one in Mists. And the goal is clear, be top DPS again. And just so I can eliminate half of my competition, I got myself an Orc Evoker. So call me crazy, but what the hell is that Orc damage? Insane breakfast for a little lizard, man. This was easily one of the smoother runs I had in Mists for a hot minute, until we encountered some shenanigans from Moistcaller. Our tank dropped dead to the cast he was supposed to kick, and he was our only CR. Psych! God bless the rest cable, man. With that, we eventually killed the final boss, even with 2 people dead, well within the time limit, and so we had plenty of time for the rest of percentage. I didn't beat the survival, even though that brother was dead on like 2 out of 3 boss fights. Big Satch. But now we are also on exactly 2400 score. and ain't that something. So in a good change of pace, we entered a dungeon that I do not like at all in the pack scenario. City of Threats. Don't get me wrong, besides the weird RP stuff between boss 1 and 2, this is a very enjoyable dungeon at itself. You got decent pulls, you need to pay attention, and you got nasty bosses that, however, on a weird way, are not as bad as they are all very scripted and predictable. And yes, I totally just say this as a DPS player, because on a healer I was molding, dude. However, one thing needs to be addressed first. I invited this 3-man stack into the key, which I got called out for. Keep that in mind. So turns out, even as a DPS, you can have a bad time here, which I take part of the blame. You see, was it my mistake the healer died? No. Was it my mistake the tank died to the tank buster, which by the way seems to be an apparent problem that Protpala seems to have? No. Could I have dispelled myself, so the boss most likely would have died by then? Yeah, probably. After all, the boss got about 20% in HP back from us not playing the affix proper, which is not really something you want. However, I did take this with a certain sportsmanship. Oh, this is going to be a boost. It's me, Jeff. We did kill it on a second attempt, but the timer being so far advanced obviously means this is far gone. However, we didn't back down from the challenge and took this as a learning experience instead. For me personally, I wanted to work through my defensive cooldowns. Both the second and the third boss are very straightforward when it comes to defensives, because the second boss does have 2 phases which both pretty much go for a minute, so you can rotate your cooldowns around that quite easily. Third boss as well, make sure you always have a fat cooldown ready for the pulls, as that happens every minute as well. The last boss however is Diffy. That bitch hurts more than getting kicked in the nuts. No cap, as the kids say. Unfortunately, our healer wanted to know how it feels to get hit in the said nuts, which left only them 2 to finish the dungeon. With this far ahead of the season, a lot of gamers gotten to a point of solid gear and decent score, and yet still refuse to play the game even on the +10 key it seems. But hey, maybe their concentration also perished, as this was a goner pretty soon and I can understand that. At least I learned to use my cooldowns a bit, which will come in handy in the future for sure. And, positive mindset, surely it's going to be better in this one. Or maybe not. Hey guys, it's Kussi. Welcome back to episode 6 of enjoying the fast-paced gameplay of this lovely flamethrower before Blizzard changes it to the fireball simulator they love so much. In this Zero to Hero Fire Mage edition. In the last episode, we stacked the biggest vault yet by timing multiple +10 keys for the first time and even going one step further to complete a +11 key while being top DPS. Just to get the arguably best trinket from dungeons on a myth track, simply because this character does deserve some luck every now and then.
For what? Why?
However, not everything was sunshine and rainbows, as we also bricked the easiest key this season, because our tank apparently had an allergic reaction to Tank Buster, which made him faint on the spot. We also encountered the #1 contender for biggest prick of the season, when meeting a very insecure German brother who acted tough enough to receive a report by yours truly. Yet today is different, because today we put our feet on the gas in an attempt to complete the original goal of this series of all 8 portals. Just so I can reveal that this was all a ruse and there was an even higher goal in mind. A goal neither you, my mom, or my downstairs neighbors who keep humping each other at least 3 times while editing this video saw coming. But for that to happen, we first need to gather more portals. So if that sounds like an episode you want to stay tuned and not skip to the end, you wiener, then make sure to like the video as well as subscribe to the channel, since that's a good thing to do. And who's a good boy?
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?
Alright, so after messing up one of the more difficult dungeons in City of Threats, the journey continued with a +11 now. I mean, this worked in the Siege key, why wouldn't it work here? And this one went a lot better right away. No casualties towards the first boss, and because I prepped the perfect opening again with Sunkic's Blessing, Combust, Lust and Potion, there was only one thing that could stop me. Aggro. Fuck! You know how hard you need to be hit to die through a cheat death? And because I used everything in the opener, I had nothing left. To be fair, it's a DK and maybe I should have held it for a second longer. However, this also never happened before and I didn't count this possibility in. So unfortunately, this wasn't the end of the funny business in this dungeon, as the second boss provided a decent challenge. After playing a healer myself, I just know too well how stressful this one can be for so many reasons. But for all of you tank players out there, I'll give you a tip that will potentially save your party's pull. I'm sure you are aware of the 2 Rhyme Dagger casts on the tank that require the entire party to soak. In this specific situation, DKs can use Anti-Magic Shell to ensure they won't get the debuff. Don't use it on the first Rhyme Dagger, use it on the second. Because of the purple stuff on the ground, the second cast requires a lot more coordination as you all have to walk into the same direction together. The first one you can just soak without any problems or further abilities going off. If you don't have an immunity, make sure to ping that direction you want to move, similar to the first boss, so the party has an idea of what your plan is, because if you take too long, you get clipped by the big purple explosion. Now funny enough, even with this boss being a party pooper, we still managed to end up on the last boss with over 3 minutes to play. No lust though. And this looked still very good, until it didn't. Pala and I made a crucial mistake, dying. We still had over a minute for the last 30%, which easily would have been the kill due to the execute phase, so this was annoying. Granted, not only the situation, but me dying on 3 out of 4 bosses was pretty much just sad. But just like the old gods of Blizzard themselves finally wanted me to break this curse, I received a necrotic wake. Did that on 8, 2 chested, and ended up with another plus sent city. And similar to me finally achieving greatness while successfully passing the 10th grade in school, it took 3 attempts. This time I railed the first boss. Pause. I pounded the twin sisters into a shivering state. Pause. I took the glimmering flashlight to town. Pause. And I showed that final spider chick that my pronouns are "he burns your ass" as we finally successfully ended the curse on the damn dungeon as a top DPS and Keystone Hero. Now, to be transparent for a moment here, I originally wanted to stop the week here with 2 mist slots secured, but I simply couldn't, man. I'm addicted. So I continued, and after completing the Stonewall key I had on the plus 8 level to receive another 10, I knew it was worth it. Grimbot Hole is one out of the 4 dungeons I still need to complete, and I didn't mess around when it came to the team comp. Red Pala is stupid, Enhance is broken, and so are Prot Paladin and Resto Shaman. But in no way whatsoever was I ready for what happened on the first pull that mattered. The Pala used Bob on himself. You know, the physical immunity that makes every mob around them lose aggro for the duration. However, another thing I would not see coming, he actually apologized and said it's his mistake. You don't see that often. True gamer moment. Fortunately, this was a turnaround as we got to the second boss without any further casualties. And wouldn't it be great if we can play that one without any anger or frustration? It would, but why would that be a thing? Our red lost the dice roll as he was the only one out of position but got targeted by the cone. Yet only real gamers would just move on and play around that little hiccup. Oh no, they're mad. So let's see what happened. The paladin said he got display issues as he apparently had some frame drops. They just laughed at him for making excuses, even though the damage he did there was about half of what he did on the first boss. And what was more annoying was that they just didn't stop. All of them. I don't get it. We didn't wipe. Nothing happened. We didn't break the key. Why are people so mad? And why are you so mad towards another player if you don't even know that Purge, which is your own button, doesn't remove rage effects? But hey, the enhancer surely did let us know that him dying was never his issue. Dying to threat might not be his problem, but it's the problem of the tank that was also shit-talking the Red Paladin. See where I'm going with this? Granted, I was very surprising the Red Paladin just took all of that and kept going. He probably wanted to leave but felt bad for Mikey, which I highly appreciate. And even at the final boss, this wank of a shaman just kept going and going. How sad is your life, big boy? How can this be the thing that lives rent-free in your head? Granted, this probably German dude, considering his name, did some damage. On the meta spec. Calm down, man. I reported him afterwards though, as he just maybe took it a step too far, and I don't even want to play the same game as he does. Don't get me wrong, I'm also frustrated at times whenever I or somebody else just dies stupidly and breaks the key. But nothing got bricked, and when I complain to myself and not to the party. Trash talking your teammate during a run will never have a positive effect on the outcome. Nobody is trash on purpose. The only good thing it may achieve is boosting your fragile sad little ego of a probably unemployed loser. Don't be like the shaman. Be better. Back to a more positive mindset, because RNGesus, we ended up with yet another key I needed, as the last time, it got bricked and abandoned, Dawnbreaker 10. And even though my vault was already stacked to a 3rd mist slot, I didn't want to miss out on this, simply because of the rock, hard,
whoa, calm down, Jamal,
dedication I have towards my Zero to Hero characters. This ain't no funny side business, baby. We live for that shit. Multiple things I like to mention during this run are, first of all, I'm a flippin' hero. Our tank died to the tank buster, wonder where I've seen that before, but don't you worry, big bro, I will—
Bruh.
Oh, he's already resting. Okay, but I would have, and that's a thought that counts.
Okay.
Another thing that mentioned is the rogue. Giga Gamer, fat ass red IO, fat ass gear, and he was also upset at our paladin. However, he packaged it differently. He called him an animal for letting him die, but then probably realized that came off harsher than it meant to be, so he covered it up by giving him wonky names. And so did I. Which felt weird because nobody continued after me and I just came off as a pervert instead. Yet since this was a juicy 2-chester, 6 out of 8 portals secured, and because I didn't get a key I needed, I ended this week with a big progress towards our journey's end. This now means, in American fashion, we always go bigger and better. So without any further ado, the legit biggest vault we could have asked for. 3 hero raid slots for potential Spymaster and 3 myth dungeon slots. This was a wild one. Oh, on this note, Spymaster just doesn't seem to drop for my mage at all. I can spoil this much, at the time of writing this, I didn't see it drop for 4 weeks. That's annoying. Though Myth Shoulders is still a huge upgrade for the future, so no complaints on my end, considering the only Giga item would have been Changeling. This is the second best possibility by far. Quick recap, we do have 6 out of 8 portals, and the ones that are missing are Arakara and Stonevault. And would you look at that, we got one of them as our first key of the week. Though is it weird to say that I am a lot more worried about the Spider dungeon than Stonevault? Last boss really traumatized my arachnophobia having ass. But it's step up or get stepped on, and even though I know that you'd love that, you sick freak! I was not in the mood to take the god-given luck of the draw on my Arakara key and drag it through the dirt. So I gathered 4 fine-ass warriors in order to help me out in this spider-infested hellhole. And when I say warriors, I don't actually mean the class, it's... yeah. Though we did get better plate classes in Frosty K and Red Paladin, so that kinda counts? No? We took down the 8-legged menace, ugly bug cousin Ron, and the harvesting muppet that is going to be an absolute nightmare whenever Arakara returns as a Mythic Plus dungeon in the future. All while abusing the probably best affix of this season. Voidbound, baby. Voidbound pretty much spawns a son of that from Wish that needs to be beaten up in order to receive a fat cooldown reduction as well as 20% flat verse. Holy mother of Jesus, 20% damage and healing done is insane. But what do you know, after receiving one of the 2 keys I need from the vault, the next one was legit the missing piece. Stonevault is up for grabs, and because I don't want to deal with any kind of bullshit, I convinced my party to do this on 11, even though they were hesitant. But I had 2 choices. Either we try 11, potentially brick it for me to have another 10 to go, or we step up again and make it happen. Or I simply dip the key before we start, cause they sounded like little bitch boys. Yeah, baby! Second option locked in, and this time we actually did have a warrior. But not only that, we had a brewmaster and a holy paladin. It's been forever since I've seen any of those bad boys. And we started off big. Sort of. But hey, if it gets the job done, pull as little as you want, fam. Though one question remained. Can the healer play the affix, and could the monk lift that by himself if he needs to? Looks like the answer to the second question has to wait, cause our holy PP is performing, even though his name is kinda sus. Though of course this run can't be all fun and rainbows, and so we wiped due to a pretty avoidable scenario. You see, our healer had 3 debuffs rolling, which is fair for the amount of healing, but because of the debuff, 2 stacks of the explosion smoked him Texas barbecue style, and just when he accepted the rest. So that was key. Is what I would say if we weren't packed with giga chats that have nothing but heart. Our warrior friend here was all about communication, making sure the party's on the same page, and even ensuring that everyone knows I will kick the cast of the little guy after jumping into the distance, because I'm the only one who can reach him. And don't forget the pumpage. Brother Brock and his Wish version of Iron Man got completely smashed, and so we opened our pathway to glory by having 10 minutes and only 1 more wing to take care of. So you know what's about to happen. We pull the stone guy and wipe cause the tank dies. Wait, what? No wipe, huh? Like we actually timed it? Alright, cool. Now here's the deal. Yes, I would have liked more drama on the last key, but what do you want me to do about it? We had 1 hiccup on the stone boss, but other than that, this was a clean run. Solid damage and good healing. Which now means the original goal of this series is over. No! 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 So here's what's next. Yes! 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 When I created this mage, I checked for one specific reason to choose this server. Lightbringer EU is empty as hell. I'm talking 400 people or so. Hell, there are only 35 ranked fire mages on this realm, and I was ranked 1 fire mage here once I was above 2100. But with a score of 2649, I am also rank 5 mage on the server, which means I'm less than 100 away from rank 1. Now, is this just some cheeky clickbait rank 1 from Wish that doesn't mean anything? Sure. Will I still get rank 1 and put that thing in my Tinder profile? Absolutely. So the goal is clear. Even though this series is now officially over, it's not the last episode. Cause Kusi will rise. Hey guys, it's Kusi. Welcome back to episode 7, which is the extra edition of the series in which we attempt to go above and beyond to finally achieve something my high school crush will be jealous over. In this 0 to rank 1 Fire Mage edition. In the last episode, we finally achieved what we were destined to become. The Keystone Hero we all deserved, with all portals to future usage, and just because that ain't enough for your boy, I raised the bar slightly higher. Now, for context, because last episode was the actual end of the series and this is just an additional video, just for you, the rules are gone. Everything goes, and this mainly goes towards the puck rule. I did join our community guild and therefore, we do a few guild keys every now and then. But don't worry, this is not a full stack party of rank 1 meta spec enjoyers, quite the opposite. This is the setup we ran for the most part. Mistweaver, which is in the middle of the pack and therefore the closest thing to meta you could ask for, a Fury Warrior and double Fire Mage.
What is this? For what? Why?
Though Eluria often whipped out the Frost for funsies instead. Hell, we don't even have a CR, so don't even give me any kind of side eye here. With that being said, at this point in time I only did 2 plus 12 keys, one failed, one timed, neither of which on the Mage, so for me personally, it was all about getting a feel for it, cause we will learn very quick that plus 12s actually hurt. But what is changing? Well, first and foremost, the seasonal affix is gone. No more bargains, and instead, you got a simple extra combination of Fortified and Tyrannical on top called Zalatat's Guile. This just increases HP and damage done by everything. This means you play the dungeon and only the dungeon instead of some wonky affix that could mess you up in bad situations. But because the scaling is tougher, the rating gain is also slightly higher, and with all of that context out of the way, we are going to quickly check again how much score I am missing in order to achieve rank 1. Oh yeah, before you guys go crazy, I'm talking about rank 1 on this empty ass realm, where I was considered rank 1 Fire Mage after clapping the goal of 2100. But you know what they say, once a rank 1, always a rank 1.
Okay.
So without any further ado, make sure to like and subscribe because this whole expedition started a lot worse than I imagined. Oh, and also, because one of my most loyal viewers actually saved up 100,000 channel points to pick the spec for the first Zero to Hero in Season 2, that decision has already been secured. Now it's up to you, which one will it be? Here's a hint, it's a tank we haven't played yet. If you know from the stream, don't say anything. Alright, so after a couple of warm-up keys, we started off the chase for the top with an easy one. Mist's 12. Without the mentioned Mistweaver, since he wasn't there yet, so instead we had Zeba from the chat step in. Tank is a puggy. This run was a trip and a half for me. I went into Discord with them boys, but because all of them spoke German, it felt weird to speak English, so I heard them talk, but you don't. Which means I had to pay attention to comms, the chat, and the gameplay. And boy am I too old for that shit. But what can you say? For our first plus 12 here on the Mage, this went surprisingly well. And by saying that, I basically meant that I was surprised I didn't die yet. Multiple times. Yet the reality of plus 12 keys is hard. And sometimes sparkling in fairy dust, as this one tiny mistake ruined our so far perfect run. On the very last add phase, 5% of the boss, this was horrible timing to say the least. And because the timer in here is super tight, while our damage wasn't insane, we decided to leave it be and save some mental, as they say. Very harsh and abrupt awakening for sure. So let's go Grim Battle, cause what can go wrong, am I right? Quickly swapped out our healer because Felima arrived and we got another Prot Paladin, cause of course we did. Tank distribution in plus 12 is stupid. Speaking of, let me introduce you to our lovely 3k Radar Fire Mage Eluria. Not once, but twice. What's also stupid is some pulls tanks tried to make work in a random puck group. You see, if we are talking the trash until the little dragon minigame, we deal with 3 important mobs that have the possibility to make life difficult. The lovely drag that killed Eluria twice with very little counterplay. Not once, but twice. And those 2 bulky husks of dragon boys that cast a big enrage for the entire trash pack. If you only play one of them, stuff is manageable and we are good. If you pull both of them, shit hits the fan quicker than Eluria dying to the dragon. Not once, but twice. However, you can easily just AoE rage the spell this with an Evoker.
Wait a minute!
Unlucky. But speaking of difficult mobs, let's talk about the lava bender between Fabmaster Thong and Drave Slave owner Draga. These bitches hurt like crazy. As you all know by now, since I'm sure everybody died at least once to them, once they drop to 50%, they go into Ascendance mode and then pump out mad AoE till they die. The key would be to smack them until they reach about 60% and then nuke them as quick as hell. But because we all snipe for maximum damage, the healer just has to deal with it. However, from doing a few of these keys, I'd personally recommend to either don't play the double bender pack before the third boss, or to actually use cooldowns and maybe even Bloodlust. Because this is no joke. Honestly, we just didn't meet some of the criteria for this dungeon. Not the damage or speed we proceeded was the issue, but minor misplays, being into double Rage Lord, playing the lava bender or dying to the elementals. We all had the tools to make it happen, but it just wasn't supposed to be. The cool thing about this was, whenever we had an 11 to upgrade again, We just made it a community key for all, so whoever wanted to join to stack some vaults. Ain't that something? So we continue with a plus 12 siege and, hey, you guessed it, different prot paladin pack. But this guy was diffy. Grade A gamer, certified machine, and one husky man. At least that's what I heard.
Anyway.
And while stuff was going great, my chat just complained about me being a bad gamer. Look man, I don't even know why that thing is open at all. I honestly don't even realize it unless I want to check the timer since it's buried behind the back interface. You guys do that too, or is it just me?
Only you.
We actually zoomed through this, played bosses clean, had one death that maybe was avoidable but also not too impactful. But that wasn't good enough for our tank. After dealing with Captain Morningwood, he simply pulled a bunch. Double Demolisher. Now, 2 of these bad boys would probably be extremely tricky to play. However, you can LOS their big stomp. So having 2 out of 5 that are rangers who don't take damage from this is manageable. Granted, I do need to pay more attention because I was able to tank every second of those little hits with alter time, but that's more of an ability min-maxing I need to get used to still. But don't you worry, your boy also died. I got charged 3 times in a row, which had me use a defensive plus shield every time. However, on the third, even though I topped myself with alter time, that thing ticked me down like crazy. I did have a potion up, which I didn't realize. However, I would have lived that entire thing, but then I got shot twice for 2 mil each in 0.1 seconds. We could do the math now if I lived that with a potion, but without actually doing the math, I'd say I wouldn't. Disregarding, we were still good on time. Like I said, no death we had was major impactful, so time to change that too. We had so much time for the last boss. All the time in fact. We played it nice, used defensives, but then something really unfortunate happened. You see, I had a debuff when we changed platform to the final stage. I didn't want to push through because I knew I'd die of that, so I tried to stay in range for healing. But our tank wanted to get through. After all, he needs to be close once the tentacle spawns. And then, when I was standing on this spot, you couldn't see the debuff anymore. And I legit got dispelled at the very moment he was in my range. So many unfortunate moments came together to ruin this one for your boy. Yet we still had about 4 minutes, still doable, so let's do it! 2-second overtime, man. That is so rough. Not gonna lie, this one stung so much because ultimately it was 2 seconds. 1 less death anywhere, 1 more DPS potion used, 1 more crit could have made a difference. Me not always hiding on the stomp and sending it much rather. So many situations where 2 seconds could have been saved. That's also how we ended our first evening of attempting this key range, so you best believe this was more than just humbling for most of us. Especially for Eluria. Not once, but twice. However, new day, new stream, same tank class, seriously prot pallets are everywhere. But because we are ready to game and ready to make it better, we once again prepped multiple keys for our enjoyment. With that, we were keen to make it better this time with another plus 12 mists. And you want to know how this was different to the other? Well, same boss, different problems. You see, apparently the kickable tank buster isn't the only problem a group can encounter here. It's also the little minigame. Whenever the boss reaches a certain percentage, 3 times throughout the entirety, she will split into 4 mirrors where you have to find the unique one. Exactly like the Mage event beforehand. And to ensure we were all on the same page, usually the correct mirror gets pinged. Though the problem occurs whenever you ping the wrong one. We did manage to not kill the wrong one, which would have been a wipe by itself. However, because we had to move again, we just died because of the rest of the mechanics and simply couldn't recover. Speaking of not recovering, juicy 8-minute overtime. At least this is a certain progress, because on the first mist spec, it was the tank's fault, which is something we can't control. With this, we know that it will kill us if we don't pay attention. So we were still ready to redeem ourselves, and our redemption shall come our way. But not before we find out some harsh truth about the most annoying twins in the game. Let's take a quick look here. This is the hitbox of the cone. One would say, it stops at some point, turns out it doesn't. And then let's check again. This is where Jeff is standing. That's the direction the cones are. Great game, man. Luckily this dungeon is a bit more gentle when it comes to the timer, so we didn't give up on this one yet. We went again, got through, quickly played the purple booger, and then we had 3 damn minutes with a bloodlust for the final boss. If nothing goes wrong, we put our first time plus 12 key in the bag. If nothing goes wrong. But because the gods wanted to give us another shot, we got mists again. This time, Sure did we focus up. And for a change of pace, we beefed up. Literally. But being big also means you're a big target. And so I died before the first burn phase of the first boss. And we had no CR. Just to watch them do the entire thing in a 4-man party. I blame the cow for that, man.
Huh?
We did get it done. And by saying we, I mean everyone but me. So Miss Corner was the next point of interest. Yet finally, we got through the little asshole ferry on the first try and made our way towards the fat ass flashlight in an attempt to break the curse. And compared to the city of Threadsky, this was easily in time. However, the 25 score were not enough to achieve rank 1, because Bornwill, which is the rank 1 guy, also kept playing. He was at 28-11 by now. So we stepped foot into another 12 siege, and because this was a key we should have timed the last time, we simply collected what belonged to us. Another 29 score, but we still need more. Necrotic Wake was the place to be, and in this one I apparently woke up for some pulls. Cosplaying as a professional load blower just so I don't have any cooldowns for the upcoming Bloodlust pull. Yes, unofficial load blower? Premature load blower. Call it what you want. So for the sake of the video's length, I can tell you this dungeon wasn't too spectacular. We had a handful of deaths, expected with so many casters and random damage going out, yet we still timed the entire thing with roughly 3 minutes on the clock for a whooping 47 rating, which now means we are on the very same score as the soon-to-be rank 2 mage.
You talking shit upon my shit, homeboy? You just a little punk ass, bitch, bitch.
So I don't know why, cause it would be hilarious for the video if I'd be considered rank 1 instead of him with the same score, but I wasn't. So now it's already midnight and we've been doing keys for 7 hours already. So I asked for one more, Dawnbreaker. Very quickly I could tell that this one is considered one of the easier ones. Very generous timer, very avoidable damage patterns, and also very scripted heal checks. This was legit the first run I felt good, and I know you see a certain pattern in overall damage, and yeah, if I compare myself to Eluria, I'm flipping ass, dude. My cooldown usage is ass, my rotation is ass, my spell prio is ass. Granted, my gear is also worse, but I'd like to believe that a better player with my gear would be able to get closer to Eluria. A lot closer. Granted, he does have 7 more item level overall, which in this specific area mostly means he also rocks a lot biz items. And the biggest difference might be the Spymaster. But with me dying to stupid things so often, Spymaster wouldn't do much either. However, I can say, Fire is so much fun. I really recommend it for any one of you that isn't sure on what to play for the remaining season or even season 2. I'm currently playing a build that is all about combust resets, which will go crazy in the next season due to the new tier set of Fire Mage, since that is also just keeps on reducing combust cooldown. My final thoughts go out to everyone that will call me boosted because, well, rightfully so, as my overall damage contribution and me dirt napping throughout entire boss fights isn't really something to argue against. However, plus 12s is a new step for me and a new step to deal with the incoming damage. We all gotta learn that at some point, and keep in mind, at times there's even a few days in a row where I don't even log on. So take this achievement to be rank 1 with not only 2900 score with a pinch of salt. With that being said, be sure I put that into my Twitch bio ASAP, and you know what they say. Once a rank 1, always rank 1. Actually not rank 1 anymore currently, but who cares, I got the screenshot.